Good morning, everyone. Hope you guys are doing well. We have a brand new project that we want to do, and I've been trying to find a way to incorporate some of these cabinetry items that I picked up in a whole load of stuff. And I've got a cherry cabinet door that I've been wanting to do a carving in. So we are going to do a collaboration with Vicki and I'm going to do some carving. Vicki's going to do some resin work, and we're going to put them together. And we're doing a special project for our friends over at Totalboat. So what we've done is we've met these guys several times in Atlanta at Workbench Con. So what I've done is Vicki actually blew up the Totalboat logo. And this is just my kind of mock-up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to print this on freezer paper. When we come back, we'll have registration lines, and I'll show you how I do that, but I'll be using this mock-up to give me some registration lines. That way, when we do our printout on freezer paper, we know exactly where it's going to sit. So stick with us. We'll be right back, and we'll get into it. All right, folks, so here's what I've done off camera. I've taken our mock-up and I've taped it together, and then I trimmed it down. Now, one thing that you want to remember when you're doing something like this is make sure that you have the same, your paper is the same. What am I trying to say? You want to have your logo centered on your paper. That's what I was trying to say. Now I get it. Now, you'll notice that I drew a box around here. And the reason I did that is because these are going to be outset letters. This is going to be background. And I drew this box. It's 3/8 of an inch bigger than the letters all the way around. And that's what I have to make sure that I center top to bottom. I'm centering from here to here and from here to here. And then that's the way it's going to be, but I center the logo on the paper itself. So I've got the same distance on the paper from the edge of the paper in and from the top and bottom in that way. Gosh, that sounded really confusing. But what I've done is, based on that, what I did was I drew lines where my logo will be centered. Rather than drawing registration lines on the paper itself, I just centered the whole image on my panel, and then I just drew some lines top and bottom. So now what you have to do, and oh, by the way, this is just held together with just Scotch tape. You can use whatever you want, but I use Scotch tape. And so now what I've done is I have this is my freezer paper. It's done in reverse, obviously, with rapid resizer. Now I'm going to transfer this on the board. But here's another hint for you guys. Now where I've actually kind of held these pieces together, I'm just using Scotch tape, and I tape it where I know that I'm not going to need an image. So I've got a piece there.
Come over this way, see if there's a little less glare.
Because of the glare. So I've got a piece here, a piece here, a piece here, and a piece here. Now, whether I'm doing 2 tiles like this, or I'm doing 10 tiles, 5 and 5, whatever I'm doing, that's how I actually hold those together. And what I do is I trim off one of those margins. If you look at this, you'll see this has got a little...
Can't see it. It's too good. Can you turn off that light, maybe?
It's up above you.
Yeah.
You can't reach that.
That's all right.
Can you get it?
No.
Yeah.
Where's my pliers?
Tall. Maybe that'll help.
That might help a little bit.
So when Rapid Resizer prints them out, it prints them on margin. They print a margin. So what I've done here, what point was I trying to make with that? I cut one of those margins off so that when I glue it together, there's only one side of it that's double thickness. That helps with the transfer a little bit. That's what I was trying to get to. Now, what I've done, so my papers are basically the same size, pretty much the same size. So I know when I flip this over and I put that in between my marks, top and bottom and left to right, then it'll be in the right size, in the right place, that is. Now, another tip that I strongly suggest, if you guys don't have one of these paper cutters, and this
I
is...
had one of those when I was in grade school.
Oh yeah, this thing is so handy. This thing is probably 30 years old, but when you're trimming up paper and you're doing stuff like this, it not only makes it a nice cut, but you get to square it up based on these lines, based on this line. If I want to get a square cut, I will always, square it up to how I need it in order to get a nice square cut. So I strongly suggest, if you don't have, this is probably bigger than you need. They have smaller ones, they have bigger ones, but this thing is invaluable. And again, we've used this for 25, 30 years, I
think
think.
it's been more than that. You had that before I came along.
Yeah, we've had it forever. That might be 40 years old. I don't know. So, all right. So I hope that really kind of makes sense. So now what we have to do is try and not put any pressure on this thing at all until we're ready to do the transfer. All I'm trying to do now is just get it in place. I don't have that up. Well, I guess it wouldn't really matter even if I did have it upside down, would it? It'd just be...
Not at this point.
Yeah. All right. That looks pretty darn good. You can see that here my line is kind of up above this edge because I kind of chopped that a little bit short. But in essence, it's squared up. So now let's just get some tape. So I'm on the right lines, left and right. You guys have seen me do this before with blue painter's tape. It doesn't matter as long as it's held in place. That's what really counts. But this, the thing that I've learned over the years, guys, the layout is so important. Do not rush through the layout process. I know you all want to get to the carving and, making the sawdust, but if you don't do the layout right, man, and if you don't take your time, there's so many times where I have rushed through the layout and I got the layout done and then I find, oh man, it's not centered, it's not square, it's going at an angle. Take your time on the layout. It's so important. Well, for me it is. Maybe it's not for you, but for me it's critically important because I've really messed up a lot of layout.
So what are you using there?
Well, this is freezer paper, and I'm using the router bit depth gauge, but you can use, I've tried spoons, I've tried all different kinds of things, but I just find that this just has such a nice edge for this freezer paper that it generally gives me a very good transfer. Now what I'm doing, you could go ahead and tape this all the way around, but I am kind of holding pressure, trying to keep that paper as tight as I can so that the paper doesn't shift on me. And again, guys, this is my favorite way of doing the layout when it comes to logos and stuff. But it could be that you like to use a laser printer and use something like lacquer thinner or something like that. And that's fine. Everybody's got their favorite way. Well, I think that's going to actually be pretty good. Did I miss? Actually, I think that came out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. Looks like I missed a little bit of area there, but that doesn't really matter. I can draw that in. I know what it's supposed to be. Actually, I'm pretty happy with that transfer. Let me spin that around so you guys can get a better look at it.
Can you tip it up just a little?
Yeah. So now I'll draw my box around there because again, these are going to be outset letters, and I'll draw my box around there. But I know that I'll be center, top and bottom if I draw that box. I think it's like 3/8 all the way around on these letters, and then everything should be center, top to bottom and left to right. So I will do that, and then we will come back and we'll get to carving on this thing. So that wasn't too bad. So stick with us. We'll be right back. Hi. We are back. Vicky jumped the button on me there. All right, we're set up. I've got the profile bit in. I'm going to be really tight on a couple of these spots, but I think I can make it work with the profile bit right in here between the T and the O. Might be a little tight in here, but I think I can make that work. I might, as I go, just raise the base a little bit. I'm set at about 1/8 of an inch. Let's see if you can. Set at about 1/8 of an inch, just a little bit lower than that. And I think that'll be about right, but I might adjust that as I go. I'll let you know if I do. This will be the first time carving on, let me see, that's all going to be background. With the fairy lights, I'm going to give these a try on camera and see how they work out. All right, here we go. Alright folks, I think you can get an idea of what I'm doing there. I'm going to go ahead and finish these letters up off camera, and then we'll come back and we'll do that outline and then the background. Alright folks, I got the outset letters done. I like the way they look. So now I'm going to cut the inside of this line because all of this is going to be taken out. So I've got the same profile bit in, and I've set it at about 3/16. So I'm just going to see if I can pull a somewhat straight line there. let me, I want to explain one thing to you. If you end up doing something like this, where you've got, I didn't realize it, but one of these ends I was doing, I was coming down, let me see, I was, how did I do that? I think that's what it was. So, I was coming down this line, and I didn't realize, well, I was trying to be aware of it, but this edge right here caught on my base plate. So kind of be aware of that. You always kind of want to see how that's just kind of running into that. So then I would have had to lift it. That's why I turned, you saw me, if you go back and watch it, you saw me, I turned it so that I had consistent, I was up on this piece over here and it was consistent running all the way. Now the same thing would apply, actually did apply when I got down here. You can see that little bobble right there. What happened was I was cutting that. I'm a little bit deeper, let me set that shallower. I probably wouldn't have had to gone into this, but I just want you guys to be aware, kind of learn from what I learned. When I was coming down here, you'll see when I got to a certain point here, actually it wasn't there, it was right here. When I got to a certain point, my base plate was hitting on that edge right there, and it kind of cut into it a little bit. I had to kind of trim that off. Anyway, just something to be aware of if you're carving something like this. Always be aware if there's something in the surface of the board that your base plate's going to catch on. Anyway, I think I will go and I'll kind of, you can see I stayed to the inside of the pencil line there. I think I'm going to go and kind of trim that up a little bit. I left myself some room, kind of cut a little bit more of that, kind of trim that up, clean that up, and then when we come back, we'll get into the background on around these outset letters. Hey guys, you know what? I really apologize. We're going long on this again, and my download speeds down out here is really terrible right now, so I'm going to cut this off right here. So I got the box all done. I'm really happy with it. So on the next video, we're going to come back. We'll get that boat carved. We'll get that background done. Then we'll get into the resin work, and we got some special elements going on here that I think is going to be pretty cool. So stick with us. You should see this on Monday. The next video will be Wednesday, and maybe we'll get this all done on Wednesday's video. That's what I'm hoping for. So thanks so much for watching. There's our website if you need supplies. We'd love it for you to subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, and click that little bell icon, and that will give you notification when we do our videos, which it's crazy, but we're doing a lot of videos, a lot of lives these days as well. But if you're seeing this and you don't see a live, then go over and check out Facebook group. Anyway, guys, we love you. Thanks again for watching. Any questions, email me directly, eric@makeawoodsign.com. Have a great one, and we'll see you on Wednesday. Bye-bye.